is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Lifestyle Nutrition Podcast. This is episode 33. And honestly, I was just thinking about this and just talking about this. I can't believe we're actually at 33 episodes like this. And you might think 33, it's a weird number, but I just thought earlier this week, I was thinking about how there's 52 weeks in the year. So we've been doing this for over half a year at this point, which is, it's crazy. It's nice. It's a good little win. We're going to keep going. I have a goal of at least getting 100. Hopefully we get 500. But the first goal is to get to 100. It's like, okay, get to 100. And by then, hopefully I have this shit kind of figured out, right? Like I have this a little bit more. It doesn't sound as bad. I think it's sounding better. I listen to the episodes and it feels like it's getting a little bit smoother. I feel like I'm getting a little bit better. I try to use like less notes. But I got to make sure I'm staying on point too, because those of you who have listened for a while and know me a little bit, you know that I can talk in circles. Like my mind it goes from here to there to everywhere. And then all of a sudden, like I'm talking about nothing. But we are having a lot more guests on the podcast. And so it's been awesome to interview people, to try to give value in a different way and just give other people's knowledge, right? Like on these interviews, I'm learning a ton throughout it about some topics that I love. I love all of this stuff. And so it's awesome to have people on as well, though, that are really knowledgeable in topics that I'm not really that knowledgeable in. Because then I'm learning to, with you all, and just giving a different perspective. And one of my favorite things about having other people on is hearing their story as well and being able to have them share their story. Because everybody who I get on, most of them I think all of them have been coaches at this point. But they all have different stories on different struggles they've gone through in the past. And so hopefully some of you can relate to them and also just get some value from the knowledge that they have, because we all have different types of knowledge, right? Like we learn from each other, we learn from coaching people, and it's just fun to have everybody on. So with that, I'll get into this episode, and it's all around self-confidence. And so I've started the self-love series, my journey to self-acceptance, self-love, and just 100% belief in myself. And it's been awesome to just go through this and to start bringing you alongside what I'm doing. And with all of that comes self-confidence, right? And so I know that when I fully 100%, if it's possible, right? If it's 100% possible to have 100% acceptance, love, and belief, which I think it is. I think it is personally. And if you think it is, then it is, right? Because it's the thoughts. Your thoughts determine your reality. If you think you're going to fail, you will. Guaranteed. You will fail. If you think that you're going to succeed, you will, right? It's all about that. If you can train your brain in that way, then you're going to go a long way. But self-confidence is a huge thing that comes with this. And do I have this figured out? No, I do not have self-confidence all the way figured out, but I'm getting better with it every day. And it all plays into what I'm doing to love myself more, to accept myself more, and to believe in myself more. And so today what I wanted to do is bring you in on everything that I'm doing on a weekly basis to develop more self-confidence. Because I think that if we all have more self-confidence, there's nothing we can't accomplish, right? Because then if we know we can do something, we can do it. And so to do that, we have to have more self-confidence, right? It's kind of that circle. It's a circular thing. I'm kind of bringing my mind in pretzels, honestly, just talking about it. But with that, I have 5 things today. 5 things that you can do on a weekly basis. And a lot of these things are going to be on a daily basis, right? But I just said weekly because there's a few of these things that it's kind of like it's at the start. You want to do these at the start, and it's not as much throughout. Like there's a little mix. But either way, let's get right into it. Number 1 is to set the deck up in your favor. So I think that a lot of people neglect this, but what we need to do from the start is we need to define what success is, right? With self-confidence, we need to define what wins are. We need to define what's reachable, because if we set the bar like way too high and we don't even think that it's possible to do that, like we're never going to even get close to it, right? So we got to make sure that we are making sure that we're going at goals that challenge us, but also are just something we can actually like attain, and kind of setting like almost ladder goals, right? Like, you could have this huge goal, like say you want to make $1 billion for some reason, like you want to build $1 billion company, which is very difficult to do, right? I wouldn't recommend having that be like, that's the only goal. Like, I want to build $1 billion company when you're at like zero, right? That's a huge goal. It's probably not very reachable to just have that be your only goal, right? I would start with like, well, why don't we build it up to $500,000? And then why don't we build it up to, $5 million? Like, you just kind of like keep like laddering it up. Like, once you get close to that goal, then you set the goal higher so that you're continuing to strive forward. But we need to make sure it's reachable, and we also have to define success. So when I say defining success and defining what wins are, I mean that like stacking the deck in your favor and making sure that like the definition of a win, make sure that there's a lot of them in your day. A lot of people's definition of a win, and this comes from me being one of these people, is that it was these huge things that happened in my life. Like I used to look back at my life, and I think I did talk about this potentially on a different episode, but I used to look back at my life and I thought, oh, quitting alcohol, huge milestone win, getting drafted into the MLB draft, huge win. I'm even blanking. Like, we won the state tournament as 12-year-olds. Like, that was a pretty dang big win. We went to the regional. We were very close to Williamsport, and like those are like, I just had like 5 things. I was like, oh, these are the big wins in my life, right? And can you imagine like how difficult that is going through to find the positives in situations and to find the wins out of your day when that is what you view as a win, right? And I think that a lot of people are in that same boat. And so define wins in a way of like anything that moves you forward, right? For me now, what I do is I define these wins as literally like just anything. Like, brushing my teeth's a win. It's because make sure my breath's not stinky. I'm not repelling people away, right? My meditation in the morning is a win. The daily gratitude that I have, that I flood myself with, is a win. The walks I go on through the day, the water I drink, any sort of action item that I put on my list that I do that moves myself forward in business, in personal life, in relationships, in health. All of these things are wins. And so I look at my day and I have like 75 to 100 wins in my day. And guess what? I sit down at the end of the night and I acknowledge all of those wins. And have I done this for a long time? No, I have not done this for a long time, but I've started doing this more because if you acknowledge the wins, then your brain starts looking for them more, right? And you start to notice them more, and you start to pat yourself on the back more, right? It's like, Alex, you're freaking killing it, dude, right? And that's what we want. We want to make sure that we stack the deck in our favor. We want to make sure that we have a lot of wins to happen throughout the day and the week. And then you want to acknowledge those wins. Number 2 thing that I do is that I've made it a non-negotiable in my life to keep the promises to myself. And honestly, I've been doing this pretty well for the last like 4-ish months, but I've recently made it like an extreme non-negotiable in my life. Like, it was like, I should do this for a while, and I was doing it on a very consistent basis, but I made it over the last week. I've made it I need to do this. Like, I will, if I tell myself I'm going to do this, I am going to do this. Because what I've realized is that no matter you think it or not, if you continue to tell yourself you're going to do something, you say, I'm going to work out today. I'm going to, eat this today. I'm going to go on 3 walks today. I'm going to hit 8,000 steps. I'm going to eat 3 servings of veggies, whatever it is that you're telling yourself you're going to do. If you don't do those things, you might not notice it, but you're continuing to tick down that self-confidence, right? And then you kind of do that over the course of 3 months, 6 months, a year, and your self-confidence goes from here to here. And then you start noticing it, right? At that point, you start noticing it, and it starts to become more apparent to you that you're not in a great spot, right? And so we need to keep those promises to yourself. And I would say, obviously, know this, right? Like, it's not necessarily realistic to think that like every single day you're going to be able to do this, right? I think also, if you are able to do this every single day, like, either you are a complete machine, you're probably neglecting your sleep, which if you have to some days, that's what it's going to take, right? And that's what I've committed to myself is like, you know what? I'm a man who really prioritizes his sleep, which I think is huge, and it's huge to my energy, my success, all of these things, me feeling my best the next day. But if every once in a while, or if a day or whatever, I have to stay up a few hours later to make sure that I get this stuff that I put on my list done, that I know I need to get done or that I committed to for that day, I'm going to do it because I want to make sure that I continue to move the needle on my self-confidence and I continue to do the things that I say I'm going to do. But that being said, make sure that you don't that you don't miss 2 days in a row, right? I think that's the huge thing, is that if we want to get that momentum going, but if we happen to have a slip up, if we happen to have like a day where it's like, you know what, some shit happened and we couldn't get everything done that we wanted to, make sure you don't miss 2 days in a row. Get back on it the next day. Make it a point that you are going to do everything you tell yourself you're going to do, no matter what. Number three, not four. Number three is to make sure you can actually accomplish your daily actions. And so this goes back to kind of the reachable aspect of your goals, is we want to make sure we're not putting out like a million different things. And I have the tendency to do this. This is something I do way too often, is I have the tendency to put out like, I think I did this today, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I did this today. I have like 12 things on my to-do list. But the good thing is a lot of them aren't very big things. And so I was like, you know what, this is fine. But I have a lot of stuff on my to-do list today. I got to get better at that. I still am always a work in progress on that. But that being said, do not do what I did today. Stick with 2 to 3 daily actions, right? Stick to 2 to 3 daily actions that challenge you, but also are something you can be consistent with. Because if we can actually just accomplish the things on a daily basis, we start to get the momentum going, the self-confidence starts going. And also, like I said, on just the wins, right? Defining the win. This goes back to that as well, right? Like, acknowledge yourself for doing these things. Like, make sure that you make a mental note of like, great job, right? Like, great job. Because if we do that and we are constantly reminding ourselves that we're doing an awesome job and we're moving ourselves forward, it's a lot easier to have that self-confidence. Tip number 4 is that number 4 thing that I'm doing to resolve or to get more self-confidence is I've attempted to cut out procrastination from my life. And this one, I've actually been very good with this. And it really started when I had the 90-day challenge. When I started that 90-day challenge, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing all this. Like, if I have something I need to get done, I'm going to do it now, right? And a lot of it, the ball got rolling for me with like silverware and plates and stuff like that. I used to just kind of, I'd set them down and then I'll put them away later, and I'll put them in the dishwasher later. Or like, when the dishwasher is done, you know what? I'll unload it tomorrow, right? I'll unload it tomorrow, and that'll be a better time to do it. And what I started doing with that is just like, you know what? When I'm done with a plate, when I'm done eating, I'm going to wash it off and I'll put it in there. When the dishwasher's done, I'm going to unload it and I'm going to put all the dirty stuff in the dishwasher. And this started to get that ball rolling of like, you know what? It does feel good to get this stuff done right away. A lot of this stuff, what I realized was that we make up a lot of these things to be like these huge tasks in our mind. And I still do this with a lot of things. Like, you make it up. It's like, oh, this is going to be like so tedious, right? It's going to be so tedious. And then you do it and it takes like 30 seconds, right? For unloading the dishwasher, it takes me like 2 minutes. And like, sometimes it feels like it's just going to be this huge task. And so that is one thing I like to remind myself of, is like, you know what? I used to have things that I would like, because I'm a big reminders person. I put a ton of reminders in my phone. Like, if I showed you my day of reminders, you'd think I'm just a crazy person, right? Like, I put everything in just because I want to make sure that I take a lot of pride in like being on time to things. I take a lot of pride in making sure that certain things get done. If I tell somebody I'm going to do something, I want to make sure that I do it by that certain day. And so like, I have everything in there. But I used to like just constantly push stuff off. It's like, oh, okay, oh no, that can be done next week. And then the next week. And then all of a sudden I realized that it would be like 6 months later, and that I would still be pushing that back like a month and 2 weeks and whatever. And once I did it, it took me like a minute to do. And I'm like, why did I push this off for 6 months? And I think that's what a lot of us do, is that we push off these things that seem like these huge things in our mind that are very simple to do. And so if you can cut out procrastination, like, you're going to be in a great spot when it comes to self-confidence as well, because procrastination is it's the killer of momentum as well. It's the killer of, it can be a big killer to self-confidence, because you're constantly just like not doing stuff right away. You're constantly pushing stuff off. It doesn't feel good to do, right? And so if you can just start small with that, just start with these like just like what I did. Like, hey, if you're somebody who you leave dishes around a lot, like start by just like whenever you're done eating something or drinking something that you put it in the dishwasher, you wash it right away. I was doing that when I was up visiting my parents for a week. Every time they don't have a dishwasher. And so every time I would get done with something I was done eating, I would wash it right away. I would wash it away, put it right away. It was just a great habit to get into. It felt good because I was like accomplishing something and I was just doing something that I used to procrastinate on. And just honestly, like I used to just let it sit there and then my mom would do it, which is not really a good thing to do. She has enough stuff she's doing. She worries about enough. She doesn't need to do my dishes anymore. Number 5 thing that I'm doing, and this is a biggie. I'd say all of these are biggies, but this is one that like, gosh, this is one that I don't think enough people talk about, is to do more things that serve you. So this is a lot. There's a lot here. Do more things that serve you and less of the things that don't serve you, and hang out less with the people or hang around the people that are negative and don't allow you to move in your goals less, and around the people who do lift you up and support you more. And so it's a lot of things. Let's just go into this a little bit. So first off, the things that serve you, right? So I would challenge you to list out all of your habits from the day. Like just sit down and visualize your day, or just kind of look through your day and be like, okay, these are all the habits that I do on a daily basis. And then mark which ones serve you and which ones don't serve you, or which ones are neutral. There's going to be some of them in there that are going to be like, you know what, this has no, it's just, I need to do this, right? Or I like, this is just something I do. It's not a good or a bad habit. I like to say serving or not serving, but write that down, figure out which ones are under the serving list, what are not serving, and then figure out of those that are in the not serving list, what are the things in there that you can completely eliminate, right? Like, or what are the things in there that you can limit, right? Because if we can start to limit these things that don't serve us or that don't build confidence, that don't allow us to move forward towards our goals, we are going to have so much more confidence, right? Like this can be very difficult. This can be difficult. I have successfully over the last month cut down tremendously on my Netflix or TV time. I've successfully cut down so much on it. Like I honestly watch, at this point, I watch maybe like 3 hours of TV a week. So it's absolutely crazy what I've been able to do. But why I did that, this is a little bit of a tangent, but hopefully it can help you out. What I did is that I tried to find a replacement habit for it that moved me forward. And so, I had the habit of like sitting down after a long day of work and then just like watching Netflix and, getting into just deep into a show or something that really didn't provide me a lot of value. And honestly, a lot of times I didn't feel good after it because sometimes an hour would turn into 2 and then I end up being up later. And some of these shows are super dark and they kind of pulled down my confidence because it just poisoned my mind a little bit. And I'm a lot more cognizant of that and just a lot more aware of when that stuff's going on. So that is a huge thing that I did. And what I replaced TV with is actually like YouTube. And so you might think, oh, that's kind of the same thing, but no, I'm learning stuff and I'm trying not to like have anything that's super like stimulating, whatever. Like I'm just trying to learn about like random things or like, just get a little bit better, and maybe I'll watch a podcast or something like that. Whatever I can do that's like not going to be super stimulating. Also, I'll read, but I that's what I tried to replace the TV and Netflix with for a while, was reading, and I realized it just wasn't the same. And so I always kept finding myself going back to it. So now that I've replaced it with with YouTube, it's a lot easier for me to do it. And then on the serving thing. So like if you have habits that are serving you, like, are there certain ones on that list that like really make you feel alive, right? They really make you feel alive. And are you doing enough of those? Because a lot of times we don't do enough of the things that really bring us alive, right? We don't do enough of these things that we absolutely love doing. And that's a huge thing to build confidence too, because a lot of times we feel the most confident when we're doing these things. And so if you want to build more confidence, do more of the things that you love doing that make you feel alive, and do less of the things that don't serve you, that make you, that bring you back down to like a worse level or poison your mind, whatever it may be. And then the second part of this and the last part of this episode is the people, right? There are so many people in our lives that are negative, right? And I have done a lot of work to try to get these people out, right? To try to limit these people and try not to hang out with these people, whatever it may be. But you can make a list as well on this if you want to, like, figure out who are the people in your life that, like, when you're around them, you feel more alive. They are really supportive. They really lift you up. Like, you feel like you're energized when you're with them, and you feel like when you talk with them, like you just feel more inspired, or you feel more motivated to do the stuff that you want to do. Keep those people around and make sure that you check in with them more often, right? This is a reminder to myself. Like I said, I'm not great with all this stuff. I'm working on this stuff. These are 5 things that I'm doing currently and that I'm constantly trying to do to make sure that I'm able to move forward to where I want to be. And this goes for everything, right? Like, this goes for our health. This goes for our business or our job. This goes for our wealth. Like, everybody's trying to build more wealth. This goes for our relationships, right? If we do all these things, like, and we develop more self-confidence, like, we're going to be a lot better in all of those areas. And so find these people as well that, like, they're negative. Like, you notice they're always talking about, like, they're always complaining. They're always, like, bringing you, like, everybody knows these people. They're always negative. They're always complaining. When you leave, like, when you're with them, your energy's just brought down. Like, when you're not with them, you're like, why the hell was I with that person? Everybody knows these people. It's tough to be around. And they poison you because there's like the quote out there, like, you're like the combination of the 5 people that spend your most time with, right? And so if those 5 people are super negative people, like, you're probably pretty damn negative, and you're probably not in the best place you could be. And so if you can spend more time around those people that really bring you up and really support you, you're going to be a lot better off, and you're going to have a lot more confidence. And so hopefully this episode has been helpful, just bringing you on this journey of self-confidence as well, something that I am really working on, just alongside the love, the self-love, the self-acceptance, self-belief, self-confidence wrapped right on there. And so these 5 things are things that I'm doing on a weekly basis, and that I'm constantly doing. Honestly, a lot of these things are on a daily basis to move myself forward. And so if this was helpful, if you got value from this, please make sure that you like this, subscribe, rate us on iTunes or Spotify, comment, whatever you got to do, please support us. And share this with a friend. If somebody could use some more self-confidence. Like, we appreciate all the feedback, the support, whatever we can do to get this out to more people, make a bigger impact, and make sure that everybody out there can get into a better place with their health, with their mindset, with their fat loss goals, muscle building goals, whatever you may be at. We just want to make sure we can help you out. So thanks again. Hope this was helpful. Hope you have a good rest of your day and week, and I'll be talking to you soon.